All right, everybody, welcome to the Mortgage Coach Tuesday interview. For over a decade, I have been interviewing amazing top producing mortgage professionals, authors, leaders, people that are just badass that live the Mortgage Coach values. To help me with today's interview, we have the founder of Win by Noon, Todd Bookspan. What's up, Todd?
Not much. Super excited to be here. We got a big week kicking off here with Dominic and finishing up with a really strong guest on Friday.
Yeah, and we will tell you, we got an awesome guest, someone that Todd and I are really passionate about this Friday. His name is Coach Greg Carville. He is the head coach of the UMass hockey team that won the national championship this year. And 5 years ago, they were the last place D1 hockey team in NCAA. And in 5 years, he's created an amazing culture. And we're going to interview him this Friday. So put it on your calendars, everybody. So today we are interviewing a top producing mortgage professional based out of Oklahoma City, someone that I've wanted to interview for years, Dominic Dangora. What's up, Dominic?
What's going on, guys? It's such an honor to be here. I'm so grateful for this opportunity and to be able to chat with you guys. Dave, you're amazing and provide so much great content. And Todd, obviously, we haven't connected a whole lot, but you do quite a bit with Win by Noon and just all the content that you add as well. So thank you guys for having me, and I hope to make it special.
Well, I know you're going to make it special because that's who you are. I don't know how many years I've tracked your career, but I've always been a big. Well, no, seriously, I have. You probably don't realize it, but I've always been a big fan of Brian Bomar and Heather Bomar, and considered them to have one of the best mortgage platforms in the country. And obviously Heather's success, she's going to be a speaker at the Modern Mortgage Summit this year, goes without saying. But you were on their team, so it's kind of like, hey, who is this guy? And then I'd always see you at Sales Mastery, so I knew you were a high trust mortgage advisor. And then when I saw you start to use Mortgage Coach, I'm like, there's my guy, someone on the book team that's a mortgage coach. So I've been like, okay, how do we grow what you're doing within Bomar land? So since this is our first interview, I know where you work, but why don't you tell the whole Mortgage Coach community a little bit about your mortgage practice, a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So I got in the business or the purchase market back in 2013. And, at the end of that year, at the end of 2014, I'd funded like 16 loans and tried to get on with Bomar. And he basically said no, told me to come back once I got my production up. And so that next year I did, and got it up to 60 or 75. I can't remember, but he gave me an opportunity to come back, and I've been with Bomar since 2015. And since then, my business has just skyrocketed. So, I've got a team with, we've got about five team members. I'm the only producing loan officer on the team. Everybody else is kind of just specializes in a specific part of the process. And so we just try to kind of streamline it, make it real efficient, and make a great experience for the clients.
Love
and the
that.
Partners.
So for anyone listening, he's closing on average 27 loans a month, on track for doing 350 loans this year. How many loans did you close last year?
411. So just shy of 90 million at 89.3.
Right on. So, 400 loans in a single year, tells me this man knows how to lead. Got to be a good team leader to do that kind of volume.
Yeah.
Tells me that he knows how to build relationships with referral partners at scale that are loyal. You don't close over 400 loans with a referral-based local mortgage practice and not know how to do that at scale over time. And clearly, if he's closing 400 loans in a single year, he knows how to follow processes and systems consistently. Now, the most important metric for me is you've created 43 total cost analysis in the past 30 days. You've created over 725. I don't know the exact number. When you do a little show and tell later, we'll know what it is. But you are a mortgage coach in Oklahoma City, mid-America, with small loan amounts. Why did you decide to get on the Mortgage Coach team, and why do you use Mortgage Coach?
Well, I love to use Mortgage Coach because it just helps with being transparent. I feel like in this industry, there's still a little bit of a stigma of like somebody's, maybe it's not even a stigma, but just like the uncertainty around the transaction that people really don't know what they don't know. And especially I work with a lot of first-time home buyers. They don't know. They've never done it. So they don't have an idea of what the numbers are. They don't have an idea of what the questions are that they should be asking. And so with Mortgage Coach, you can really just kind of advise them as what to do and kind of the different loan products that are available. And really just help bring all of that into focus so that they have all the information they need to make a well-informed decision when the right time comes.
Love that. And I love how you kind of took it towards transparency. I mean, I asked that question of thousands of loan officers. Sometimes I hear things like it helps me crush my competition. It gives me a competitive advantage. It saves me time. And I just love you came from this. Hey, I work with a lot of first-time home buyers and it powers transparency. Would you say it does save you time? Like it's a faster and easier way to be more transparent with the family?
Oh my gosh, it is. I actually just had one of my team members in here this morning and I was training her on some Mortgage Coach tools and whatnot. And she just came in and was like, this is so easy. You get those templates set up. And I mean, it's just, once you have it all set up, it's just like it's a matter of minutes. I mean, you could do a purchase TCA in like 2 minutes and it's incredible. I would also say that it does, of course, when we're talking about the competition, nobody else is doing this. You look at Oklahoma City, and not saying that we're still riding around in wagons and horses and whatnot, but there's not a lot of people using Mortgage Coach in this market, and very few, if any at all, outside of myself and a couple others. So when you show somebody this, like the funniest thing is that, people get so tickled over the fact that I can highlight on my screen and have it highlight on theirs, or that I can kind of control the transaction if I'm going over it with them. So it's just an amazing tool that is, it's modern. It's a software that helps grow your business and it takes away a lot of your time, which helps you to focus on other things.
Cool. Well, I want to make sure we do this interview and we really unpack how you've become a modern mortgage advisor in a small market in Oklahoma City, where there's smaller loan amounts. And, we could do some Mortgage Coach later on in the interview, but right now let's just really unpack you're a modern mortgage professional. What does that mean? But before I ask my next question, I'm going to hand it off to Todd. Todd, what questions you would have as we kind of unpack his story and then get into some tactics?
No, that's awesome. Well, congrats on your growth, right? From 60 to 70 loans 6 years ago to over 400 last year. That's super impressive. I know people are dying to know. You said you have 5 team members. Do you mind real quick describing what your team looks like, what the roles are, and how they operate?
Yeah, of course. So my team is broken up between the front end and the back end. So, pre-qual to contract and then contract to close. So up front, I have myself, of course, as a producing loan officer. And then I have what we call a loan analyst and a client specialist. And the loan analyst is basically somebody who kind of goes through all of the documents. Once they've submitted everything, goes through them with a fine tooth comb. We essentially pre-underwrite that file before them going under contract. The client specialist actually, is going to be the one that picks up the phone, works up the application, sets the appointment with me if there's an appointment needed, and also helps to put together some of the options depending on what type of product it is. So that's the front end. So client specialist first, loan analyst reviews the docs, and then once it goes under contract, I have another client specialist that kind of handles, she's like the intermediary between the front and the back. So she goes through everything. She goes through the contract, skims through that, locks the interest rate and discloses the loan, and then assigns it to a closing coordinator. And I have 2 closing coordinators that each handle basically all the conditions, making sure they're communicating with the clients and providing updates to the partners, and then ultimately just ensuring that the loans close on time every time. And so the one thing that I did a little bit differently than I think most would is it's a very complicated process, or it can be. with just things that pop up last minute. And sometimes it can get really stressful. And what I've found over the years is that the back end is very difficult for a lot of people, and it can be very stressful, requires more, hours or overtime. And ultimately there's not, what I've found, and it could be just me, but what I've found is that a lot of people don't want to be in that position for very long. And so I hired 2 closing coordinators to kind of split the responsibility and really just kind of create more of a work-life balance between the team. That was the most important thing for me, is to maintain that retention and give everybody a little more work-life balance.
Love it. Love it. So up front, it's the client specialist doing the communication. And then when you actually go in our contract, it's going to be the closing coordinator that's going to do it. So there's a handoff there and a transition.
Yes. In fact, there's basically a handoff from the client specialist to the loan analyst. The loan analyst will even communicate based on, if she reviews the docs and discovers that there's, something like varying hours or something like that, she'll reach out to the client personally, get that taken care of. And then it will go back to the client specialist and ultimately the closing coordinator.
And you made it sound like you're training a team member to do the TCA. So are you doing some of the TCAs and someone else is doing some, or how does that look?
Yes. So right now the client specialist is doing all of the refi TCAs and I'm doing the purchases. But I've had a lot of transition on the team. I've hired 3 people in the last probably 8 months. And so my focus has not been so much on getting her trained up on mortgage coach, but more so just some other things that needed immediate attention first.
It's always so
but the goal is for her to be able to do the TCAs immediately upon somebody filling out an application. Right now we have a little bit of a lag time. And so that's something we're in discussion about right now, is how can we get that faster?
And then will you be the one putting videos on the TCA, or you train her up to be comfortable doing videos as well?
That it's always that, should somebody else do that part or not? I mean, I would love it if somebody could do all of it, and I wouldn't have to. I just don't know how that works. So it's probably going to be a little bit of trial and error for me. And I'll probably do the videos first so that I can get an understanding of the flow of the conversation or the video, and then ultimately train her as well. But I'm open to suggestions and what you guys think.
Oh, I'll give my 2 cents and I'll hand it back over to Dave. I mean, for me, when I was producing, I had a team member who created all the TCAs for me and then teed it up. And then I would just do a quick review and I would jump in and do the video so that I was still the face of the team. And I was the one that was actually giving that information out. So that would be my encouragement. Dave, would you say something different?
Right.
Well, I don't think there's a single right answer to this, because I've interviewed a lot of top people that are very elite, doing a lot of volume, that have done different workflows. Jeremy Forcier still does and creates his own total cost analysis, and he can do it in a minute or 2, and he loves to do that. So his LP1 kind of does everything, but that's super uncommon. I do recommend getting your team members as soon as you can, creating the first version of TCA. One, it's data input. Even if it takes a minute, you times that by, if you're doing 27 loans, you're doing that 50 times, whatever. And it does take more than a minute. So, we're talking about a couple hours a month that you can do. And then it also makes them more strategic. The more that they are kind of learning how to play chess, because Mortgage Coach is a chess game, the better they can be. So I do think getting your teams to do that, purchase and refi. I do think when it comes to refis, you should always have a client concierge that's very competent at doing refi TCAs, because you want them to optimize your past customer database. And so they can't really optimize that if they don't know how to do a cash out, a debt consol, a rate and term, a move up analysis. And so I do think you always want your client concierge to do it. And then when it comes to putting the video on it, I mean, that's a personal choice, and kind of like how close do you want to be to the transaction. I do know some very successful loan officers. It's like, hey, I get all the leads and I do all the realtors and all the referral partners, and they've got a really loan partner that can put a video on it. But I do think when you give up the video to the consumer, it's no longer an assistant, it's a loan partner. And it's someone that kind of owns that transactional relationship. By and far large, the top producers do everything but put the video on it and kind of, yeah, this is the right strategy for this client. Like that's usually the things that most people don't give up.
And that's kind of what I envision is like just having it worked up. And then, the beauty about the program too is that you can just add the video from your phone. So if you're on the go,
Right.
she lets you know that it's ready to go, and just add a quick, like Todd said, they can work it up. Maybe you put some tweaks on it, but ultimately you can add a quick personalized video that doesn't take very long, but adds a lot of impact.
Yeah. Well,
I think that's the direction we're heading.
cool. Well, let's get into some other things that you're doing that I think why we asked you to be a speaker at the Modern Mortgage Summit is because you are in this small market, you're modern, and Mortgage Coach is part of what makes you modern. You give advice, you're a values-driven leader, but there's other things. And before I get into other tools and tech, I kind of want to know a little bit more about how you roll. And Todd's the CEO and founder of Win by Noon, and so we both have this philosophy that we're going to get up early. We have a morning ritual, and we really both script our day until noon so that we win by noon. Like if I win by noon, I win the day. Do you do the same thing? Are you a win by nooner, or are you like, oh, win by 2 in the afternoon or 5? What time in the day do you want to win by?
Okay, so I'm definitely more of a win by nooner. My typical morning would be getting up at 4 or 4:30 and spending time doing I have a coffee and just kind of sometimes just sit there, do a devotion. And then from there, I'll go to the gym and then come back and maybe get my email set up for the day before I head into the office. Once I get in, then I'll kind of start structuring some more of the day. But ultimately, by noon, I have to be done with everything that I need to do, because that's when I start seeing appointments and whatnot.
What about?
But yeah, I couldn't sleep in if I tried.
Yeah, I'm the same way, by the way. I usually get up with something that has a 5 on it, but somewhere between 4:30 and 5:15. And if I wake up later than that, I didn't win by noon. Now you work out, and anybody who's ever met this guy, he works out. He looks like this dude's in good shape. What about?
Thank you, Dave.
Do you like, hey, Josh Metal always talks about like, I want to be done prospecting from 9 to 11, and winning by noon is to have prospected by 11. Do you have prospecting rhythms built into your winning by noon?
Yeah. So if I am going to prospect that day, then it's going to be between 9 and 11. I don't do anything through 8 to 9, of course. It's too early, but my prospecting time is designated for 9 to 11. And whether that's calling, prospects, leads, or following up on, certain pre-quals that, I feel like I need to get in touch on, then it's going to be from 9 to 11. And I don't know if this is, if you want to know, but, we use text and calls to make that happen. And the text, by the way, if you're not texting, it's a game changer. And I'm not talking about texting through your cell phone, but texting through maybe your CRM or some other software. It is just an absolute game changer, and the response is night and day.
So let's talk about that. Give us your, call it prospecting rituals. Sounds like they happen before noon, and it sounds like using text is a super important strategic component to your prospecting. So give us the touch points. I email, I call, I text, or I text, I call. So I call, and then I'll text if they don't answer. Sometimes if I know the person is working or have had previous conversations, I'm just going to text. Most people are just like me. They're inundated with different things going on. They're running here and there, and they're at work between 9 and 11. They can't answer the phone in a lot of cases. But you can get them to answer when you text. And so the beautiful thing about the text and not texting from your cell, by the way, I don't give my cell phone out to anybody. It's just my business line. But we can text from my business line, and my team can text as me. So, throughout the day, as responses come in, my team is trained to respond in a different, or in a certain way to different questions. So that it sounds like me and they can handle the question, and so, but I will say, if you start texting, it is going to
significantly increase your conversion on the amount of contacts that you get, and just the response from the clients. I mean, we generally always get a response via text. And how often do you make 20 calls and you get 2 or 3 people? You text 20 people, you're probably going to get 15 to 20 responses. So it's a game changer. And again, like if it's something through like the process, or if somebody's reaching out from previous pre-qual or something, and they have just a quick question to update a pre-qual, the team can respond back as me and say, yeah, I'll get that taken care of. Or, you know, if they're not asking for me specifically, then they can handle that under their name as well.
So I've had new salespeople like, oh, I don't know them well enough to text. And I'm always like, until you have a text relationship, you have no relationship. And if you don't have someone's mobile number so you can text, you don't have a prospect. Like
right.
Modern prospecting is phone, text, email, social media. It's multi-channel. And if you don't have a mobile number, you don't have a prospect. Do you agree with that?
Mm-hmm. Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt. Like, I always think it's funny that, you know, I mean, every CRM has it, but it's like work number or like work email. Like, nobody's ever going to call your work number. And the cell phone is the easiest, quickest way of communication to get a response. You know, you could send a video text, or Dave, like you do, you send a little audio recording. I like that. You know, without the cell phone, chances are slim.
So let's do this. We've got who you are, we've got your team. Remember, guys, this is a mastermind. So if you're watching this in Zoom, you're watching this in Facebook, you're watching the recording in YouTube, and you have a question, put your question here. We'll get them all answered. And even if you have questions or comments after this conversation, we want the questions and comments. First of all, they help with algorithms, help more people see this. And 2, it creates more value for everyone. So if you get a takeaway, put it down below. If you get a question, put it down below. So let's really transition to defining a modern mortgage professional. So you're in Oklahoma. What does it mean to be a modern mortgage professional? Because you are clearly executing that type of practice. What does that mean to you?
You know, I think being a modern mortgage advisor is, you know, somebody who's leveraging tech to increase their business, to increase the quality of their business, to free up their time, and to free up the time of, you know, those they're working with. You know, everybody wants everything right now, you know, and the industry changed forever when COVID hit. And quite honestly, I'm appreciative of it as much as the pandemic was awful, you know, but it truly made our industry like transition overnight. It was a make or break deal. And if you weren't already implementing some modern mortgage or modern business practices into your business, then chances are it was probably a really rough time, because when COVID hit or the pandemic hit, you didn't have time to start implementing new things. And so having those types of things already in place when that did go down just helped so much. I mean, there were probably people that, you know, sunk during that time, and some people swam. And then I think, you know, probably some others rode the wave, even though it was choppy with thunder and lightning. And had I not had video in place, had I not had Mortgage Coach in place, had I not had HomeBot in place, had I not had several other things in place that were already these modern mortgage practices, there's just no way I could have done what I did. And, you know, I would have lost out on quite a bit, or maybe my own sanity, or maybe the team members around me. So being a modern mortgage originator or business person is really, I mean, it's simply put, leveraging tech to increase your experience.
So Todd, I'm going to give you the next question, but I want to, 1, say something, and 2, I have a question. You know, we believe, because we put on this Modern Mortgage Summit and we put on this Modern Real Estate Summit, and Todd and I both believe that modern is absolutely leveraging technology, but it's also leveraging media, which is social media, primarily Facebook, you know, LinkedIn, Instagram, video, but it's also leadership. And clearly you're a leader. You couldn't manage a team of 5. You couldn't build the kind of practice if you weren't a leader. So leader, media, tech. You listed off 3 pieces of technology: mortgage coach, video, homebot, and text, kind of text first. What are, knowing the definition I just gave, are there some, like, do you have a coach? Do you have anything to grow as a leader? And then 2, are you using social media? So like, kind of like list off, like if what I just said is the platform to be a modern leader, what are all your tools and ways that you're doing it? And then Todd, you take the next question from there.
Sure. So I've found it more, increasingly more important for me to step more out of, the day-to-day things, of course, and focus more on leadership, leading my team and helping them to develop and grow. And so one of the things that I did internally, I'll talk about the team first, is that loan analyst and that second client specialist that handles the back end. I promoted them to production manager and operations manager, and really helped to give them the autonomy to make the decisions that I used to make or you would have to make, and just to kind of keep me out of a lot of that, a lot of the things that I don't need to be involved in. So now I can start focusing more on leadership and development and growth for the team, and focus on more prospecting with clients and partners. So that was probably the biggest change that I've done to date to help free me up to focus on additional things that will help us get to the next level. So from there, the next thing was, I believe, homebot. Did you mention, Dave?
No, I asked you, like,
homebot.
Give me your modern.
How do we do
modern advisor, both tech stack, media stack, and if there are some, leadership resources that you have, just kind of like list them out. I want to know the tech stack, the media stack, and the leadership stack.
Sure. Okay. So really, just outside of reading just books about business and leadership, the biggest thing that's helped me is the Craig Rochelle Leadership Podcast. I don't know if you guys listen to that or not, or have heard about it, but the great thing about that podcast is that it provides a monthly leader guide that you can go through with your team. And so, a lot of times you, as a leader, or, even me, like, I still think like, oh my gosh, how did I get to this position? How do I lead these people? 10 years ago, I was not doing this. And you don't just all of a sudden become a leader, you kind of grow into it. And so it's like still having those tools and resources to be able to guide your team through that growth and leadership has been important. So that's the biggest thing that I use, honestly, consistently.
And then you've been to a number of sales masteries. I've seen you at those events. And
oh gosh, yeah.
So that's
sales mastery. I mean, that's another thing, of course. Yeah. So I've been to Sales Mastery almost every year since 2015. I've also went to the High Trust Sales Academy twice. In fact, when I started with Cornerstone in 2015, I went from 60 loans in 14 to, I think, 97 in 15, and then from 97 in 2015 to 198 in 2016. So what happened was I went to High Trust Sales Academy, I think in like March or May or something of 15. And then I went back again in February the following year. I thought it was so impactful. Todd's information and the way that he unpacked all of that. I mean, I showed up and it was like every answer or every question that I had or everything that I had a question for was just answered in this book. And so that was super helpful for me to go to High Trust Sales Academy, as well as go to Sales Mastery each year and kind of just learn about the different things that all the other top producers are doing and
cool.
systems they're using.
So leadership stack, Sales Mastery every year, 2X, High Trust, a Sales Academy, Larry Rochelle podcast. We'll put a link to that down below, guys. We'll find it somewhere. And if you're watching the recording, we'll have a link because someone just asked for it. We'll, at the end, if we have time, we'll ask you for 1 or 2 of your favorite books. So technology, we got Mortgage Coach, video, homebot, text. Anything else in your tech stack that's essential to driving your modern mortgage practice?
Okay, we have Mortgage Coach, homebot, text, video. just straight up video. I mean, I create
What kind
a
of
new
video?
video
Like
every.
BombBomb video, text video? What kind of video?
So these are videos that are like more market related that I post on social, Insta and Facebook. They're, you know, quick minute 30, 2-minute videos, and they're just about like the market or kind of something that's relative to what's going on today in the market. And what I do is I post that on social, post that on to everybody in my past client database, and then it also goes out to my current realtor partners. And so that goes out every 2 weeks.
All right, Todd, I got what I wanted, and I'm following you. Well, actually, it looks like I already follow you on Insta and Facebook. And
oh,
go ahead.
did you want to? Okay, so HomeBot, I wanted to say, just for everybody listening, if you're not using HomeBot, you're losing business. And I don't have anything to do with HomeBot. I'm just a user, but I mean, it is one of the most incredible, powerful tools to stay in front of your past client database. Everybody loves the program with the exception of 1 or 2 people, you know, but it's like, it's providing valuable content every single month, and they're seeing your face and your name. I've got people that, you know, from 2015, 2016 that I've not done a good job at keeping up with, and they've reached out to me even recently asking about, you know, insurance or refinances or something along those lines. And so you can't, I mean, for example, I took some numbers. The last 30 days, we sent out 1,200 home sends. 892 people or 892 past clients opened the email, and 653 actually viewed the home analysis. Like, that's huge. How long would it take you to get in front of 653 people if you were like calling or texting or something like that? But also providing valuable content with regard to their property and the values and things like that. It's just such a powerful tool that if you're not using it, you need to do it almost immediately.
Could not agree more. And hopefully you've got the mortgage coach integration with HomeBot hooked up so that every family that wants to get a cost analysis is getting the TCA. You've got that turned on?
Sure do.
Sweet. Todd, we're halfway mark, guys. So remember, any questions you have down below, I've seen a number of questions. We will definitely get those in here. Do want to call out that Todd put a link to get HomeBot if you don't have it. That waives a $200 setup fee. Todd also put a link in here to the Modern Mortgage Summit. It is officially available and people are signing up for it. So modernmortgagesummit.com. You go to the website, see who all the speakers are. Todd, what's the next question?
You know, it's crazy. It's only 6 weeks till the Modern Mortgage Summit. It seems like we started planning so far in advance this year after putting it together, you know, kind of last minute last year and having it be so successful. So we're super excited for the second version of it. I feel like it's going to be even better than the first. I know that the speakers that we have lined up are super excited to really deliver over the top for all of you. So definitely excited to see you all there. And yes, we got some great questions here. We will absolutely get to those. I just want to kind of highlight a couple things, Dominic, because having watched you as well and met you and talked to you over the years, you said a couple of things I think that really separate out leaders from everybody else, right? You've got a committed schedule, right? From 9 to 11, you're prospecting every day, right? Most people think about doing that, right? Dominic is doing it. And then he also said, I don't schedule appointments until afternoon. So think about that. Think about how often you as an advisor have someone who calls you and says, hey, can I talk to you at 8 o'clock? And you're thinking, well, gosh, I want to, actually hang out with my wife and kids at 8, but you're like, oh, sure, I'll meet you at 8 versus saying, I've got a commitment at that time. Would 1 o'clock work for you? And so just think through, I just always encourage people to have that scripting of I have a commitment at that time, and then know your calendar well enough, right? So I keep a visual calendar out so I can see what I've got going on to say, would 3 o'clock work for you? Whatever that time is. And most of the time it will. Most time they're going to say, absolutely. Or they might say, no, 3 o'clock doesn't work. And you can say, well, how about tomorrow at 2 o'clock? And then that typically will work. I find that sometimes you have to give them 2 or even 3 options. And then you can decide, is this important enough that I'm going to have it interrupt my schedule? Because I got to imagine, Dominic, there's not too often that you're letting an appointment that's important but not urgent get in ahead of your prospecting. Or am I wrong?
No, it doesn't happen. The team knows it's booked. They can't schedule there. They know to schedule it another time.
Well, I think that that's really critical. That's it sounds like that, along with your texting, is what's allowed your conversion rate to be higher than most people have, and therefore, you have a little more balanced life, as well as your team has a little better balance, as you've said earlier.
Yeah, those are all I want to say, if you're starting out, it wasn't always this way. I did have my cell phone that I was passing out. I was, making appointments at the most inconvenient hours to accommodate everybody else, and if somebody's like, hey, I worked until 7, it's the only time I can do it, then I'm probably not going to do it. And, I'll run the risk of losing that business just because my time, not that I'm selfish, but my time is so important. I have 3 kids, I'm married. And, when I get home, I don't want to be on the phone in front of my kids. And, they're pulling on me and wondering why the heck I'm on the phone when they've been at school all day. And, I've been at work and now I come home and now I'm still working. It's just, I've done that and it wears on you from an emotional standpoint, from a physical standpoint. And I just said enough is enough. And, I've heard somebody say, there's enough business out there or there's enough people out there that want to do business your way to not worry about the people that don't want to do it your way, or something along those lines. You know what I mean? It's like, this is my process. This is how I operate. And that's it. These are the guidelines in which we're going to follow, and anything outside of that, it's fine. You don't fit, it doesn't matter. There are plenty that do.
Yeah, I just love that. I love that. Mike is asking, you mentioned that you used to give out your cell phone and now you don't. So he's asking, how did you transition? He's had his cell phone for 15 years. How did you transition from everyone having your cell phone number to no one having it?
So those that have it, and they'll still sometimes call. A lot of my partners, they understand I'm in pretty much back-to-back appointments, from about 11 or 12 on. And so they're totally cool with the team. They know the team. I ensure that I introduce every single partner that I work with to the team. I have them come into the office and we meet and we talk. And so when they call up here, they know who they are. So a lot of my partners, they'll just call up and call the office line and talk to the team rather than even ask for me. So there's still some clients here and there that do have my cell phone, but for the most part, if somebody texts me on my cell, I'll text them back on the business line. Or if they call me on my cell, I'll call them back from my business line. And it's kind of like unspoken. I don't say it, but most people get the hint. And it's not, I'm not trying to be rude. I'm just don't want to do business on my cell phone. And quite honestly, I'm very bad at doing business on my cell phone. I don't have a way to track texts. Like somebody texts me and I get busy and I forget. Their text is then gone in the thread and I just forget about it. And it's just not a great way for me to operate my business because I don't have any way to track any of that or, make reminders or
put
on the
team
fly.
around it. Put team around it. Sounds like, hey, you've got a number that you can strategically text. Your team is monitoring it. And that's how you're driving your outbound. That's how you're training clients. Yeah. And for the clients that have it, have your other one just always respond with your business.
Well, I meant with my personal cell. I don't text from my personal cell.
That's what I meant.
But for my business, the business text is that's game changer. And we can track that and task it out and stuff a lot easier.
What tech platform do you use for that?
So we use Whiteboard CRM that has a text platform built into it.
Got it.
Yeah, and I've been using Whiteboard for almost 7 years now. I love that CRM. It's super simple.
Another important part of your tech stack. So guys, we have unpacked the tech stack. We've unpacked the leadership stack. I also know, I'm just listening to you, you are passionate about HomeBot. And then I also know you're passionate because you have your loan concierge, even though you may not call them that does your refi TCAs. So you can tell that you are very serious about how do I make the most of my past clients. I also know you're doing something pretty innovative with insurance and how you're providing insurance. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I feel like a lot of times, probably everybody in this industry at one point or another has had the idea of opening an insurance agency or just kind of figuring out a way to get in on the insurance side of things. And for a long time, a lot of people, or, for a long time, I just, would refer to some local insurance agent, and in return, I'd get like a box of donuts, or maybe some cookies on Friday, or, maybe a round of golf or something like that. And I didn't think anything of it for a long time. It was just, that's the way it went. Maybe I get a referral here and there, but I was always envious of insurance agents. And I hate to admit that, but, I just thought like, gosh, they're making residual off of a deal they did 2, 3, however many years ago. And I just wanted that, I wanted what they had. And that was a residual income with, which was eventually built into a saleable asset. So a lot, what you run into, or what I ran into, is like the thought of opening a second business is just like paralyzing. Like we're already so busy in the mortgage industry that we have sometimes struggled just running our own business. So, dealing with RESPA, compliance, hiring, firing, all that comes with opening your own insurance agency, it was just overwhelming to where I just never acted on it. So a few years back, I was fortunate enough to be presented an opportunity to go in with some people on a comma insurance branch. So comma is the insurance company, and it's basically built for loan officers, top producing loan officers, to where they can, they can basically just refer their clients in a streamlined process. And it's kind of just like a one-stop shop. Like it's a business in a box, really. You don't have to do a whole lot other than focus on your business and refer to an insurance agent, or your insurance agent. So, for example, many of us have maybe had like an existing deal with an insurance broker where maybe you make X amount of dollars, or whatever the case may be. Maybe it's not even RESPA compliant and you're just risking it. But what I can tell you, and if you don't hear anything else about this, is that me and some partners that went in on this over the last 5 years have built a 7-figure saleable asset. Okay. And that's a 7-figure saleable asset. And it's an additional revenue stream that we didn't have otherwise. And it's so simple. All you simply have to do, you're already talking to your insurance clients, or you're already talking insurance to your clients when you're working up a TCA or whatever the case may be. So why not just ask them if they would like an insurance quote? And it's the easiest referral. It's the easiest referral out there. And like 99% of the people say yes, and maybe 80 to 85% of them go through with the insurance, So it's like all we're doing is creating additional revenue for our families and a saleable asset in the future. And to be honest, you don't like comma, they handle everything for us. So all I had to do was fund the legal entity, stay focused on my current business, and refer and refer and refer. Comma handles everything from, obtaining the state license, from researching and leasing for office space. They recruit, train, and coach your producer. They provide all the IT and technology infrastructure, payroll, benefits, everything. You don't do anything but refer business.
So
that's crazy to me.
So I've been hearing a lot of great things from it. I've referred a number of top producers, and for anyone listening, I mean, at least from what I'm hearing, the people I've referred, if you're closing 300 or more loans a year, it's a no-brainer. I mean, not only are you going to build a multi-million-dollar saleable asset, but you're going to have hundreds of thousands of dollars in annual residual income. Maybe at 200 families a year, it makes sense. Maybe there's some situations where it's 100, but you gotta be, this is not for the struggling loan officer. This is for someone that's serving, hundreds of folks. And it's just a simple email, making an introduction. And, I'm an advocate of it. Todd is also. We've both referred folks. In fact, Todd, I think, aren't you doing something with it yourself?
Yeah, our team actually is just kicking off this week with it. So I'm happy. I would reach out to either Dave or myself. Either of us are happy to answer questions and make the introduction for you.
Yeah. So email Todd or myself. We'll make an introduction if you're interested. It is comma insurance, COMMA insurance. So there is a link. I actually, when you and I were doing the prep, I knew you were going to mention this. And I asked Kevin, you guys, we'll be introducing you to Kevin Ducey if you do want to reach out. So we will get a link. I just got a text from a friend saying, Dave, could you hook me up? So I do think it's going to be a big deal. Ryan Grant's doing it. Todd's doing it. Kelly Zitlow. There's I don't know, at least a dozen to 20 top producers in the mortgage coach community that are doing this. And some have done it for 5 or more years. So anyways, I'm just hearing about it, but it looks like it's amazing. Anything else you want to add?
Yeah. So one thing that there's another group here locally that individually, they did not do, 250, 300 loans a year. So they pooled, 3 of them together. So you can get several different people together to go in on one and still make it happen.
Thanks for calling that out. So for those of you that
of course,
hundreds of loans a year, there's a way for you to, partner with someone and do that. So like I said, just email Dave at Mortgage Coach or Todd at Win by Noon. We'll be happy to introduce you to it, and we'll get some links in the future. So that, dude, you got an incredible practice, bro. Congratulations. Did you ever know,
Thank you,
like when you were going to school, I'm going to be a mortgage professional and I'm going to, make millions of dollars as a mortgage advisor, and then I'm going to build a multi-million-dollar insurance agency. You're having fun, right?
Yeah, man. I'll tell you, to be honest, 10 years ago, I was playing drums at a local bar. I was a house drummer from Thursday to Saturday. That's all I did. I was making $600 a week cash, and I thought I was crushing it. And it's just so funny to fast forward and a matter of doing, if you guys are out there like building your business, just doing the right thing consistently will eventually lead you in the right place and around the right people who will continue to help you grow. And that's what happened to me, and I'm confident it can happen to others as well. It's been a blessing, man. It's been a crazy ride.
Yeah, no, drummer to multimillionaire mortgage coach who wins by noon, who is an entrepreneur, leverages technology, leverages video, leverages your CRM whiteboard. Dude, this is a great success story. And Todd, I did want to get a little mortgage coach. I want to have him share a TCA and show what kind of TCAs he does. But before we do that, anything else you want to ask? Well, we got him on the
you just highlighted. I mean, right, going from a drummer making $600 a week, and I just love the word what you just said. You said doing the right thing consistently, right? I mean, I think that's what I'm hearing you say is I've built consistency by having a system, by following the system, by building up a team. And I think that's just what, our community needs to hear. So I appreciate you, highlighting that and, pointing that out. Is there anything else you would tell people who are going to get off this call, get stuck in their email, and then never actually do those most important priorities today?
Yes, I would shut your email off. The emails will be there when you get back. Force yourself to make 5 calls and you will feel so much better. I know it's so easy to let things get in the way because you don't really want to make the calls, but I promise after the first one, it'll be a little bit easier. And it gets easier as you start making those calls and get more comfortable, but without making the calls, you're going to be in your emails and you'll eventually be out of the business. So you have a great opportunity to build a significant legacy for you and your family. And so it's just going to require a little more discipline. So focus on your discipline and making your calls.
There you go. And 5 calls isn't that much, people. Like, come on, you can do it. And, I think that, again, Dominic, what a great story. It was fun to learn a little bit more. And now I'm looking forward to seeing your TCAs in action.
All right, guys. So
yeah, of course.
What does he do against those 5 calls? He's done 43 TCAs in the last 30 days. So, or in the last month. So he's doing a TCA a day. Remember, guys, we've got the TCA day challenge going on this month and next month. At 11 o'clock today, we have an accountability meeting that we've been doing for 4 weeks. Jeremy Forcier has been the head coach on that for the past 2 weeks. So at 11 o'clock in this group, we will be streaming a live coaching session on the TCA day contest or TCA day challenge. So pull up a TCA and, walk us through one, because I always like to get scripts. I always learn, think of this as mortgage strategies, guys. It looks like this is a purchase TCA. So tell us what we're looking at. Tell us how you use this.
So this one was pretty straightforward. So it's a purchase TCA, as Dave mentioned. Purchase price was $400,000, loan amount obviously $320,000, and then I just did some buy down options. So, but the thing I love about this is that, I love what Todd Duncan taught about sometimes having the lowest rate or the lower rate with the wrong strategy can end up costing you more money. And so when people I think are rate sensitive, which David was, I love to be able to show them the difference between 2.8 and 2.9 or even 2.8 and 3.125, because psychologically right now anything in the threes is still a little like, oh wait, I think I might need to look elsewhere, or at least that's kind of the feeling I get, right? So everybody's so used to twos and for a period of time we did get above 3 and we're still kind of hovering right around there, but I love to just show them like, hey, this is 2.7 up to 3.125, and the difference is paying points, and we'll kind of discuss if that makes sense for you. And so just going through it, we get to kind of the, I don't even go to like the closing cost breakdown yet. I'll go to, the savings over 60 months or maybe the interest in 15 years, and then come back around because I want to show the benefit before I show the cost.
You're showing the transparency.
That's kind of
you're showing transparency.
Exactly.
Before you're showing
exactly.
cost. Hey,
Sure.
real quick, because I want to pull this out in a teachable way. So what's that quote again? Someone just asked. The lowest rate with the wrong strategy, blank. What is that?
The lowest rate with the wrong strategy, the lowest rate and the wrong strategy can sometimes end up costing you more money. And then in addition to that, Todd says, do you want to focus on the overall cost of borrowing, or how does he mention it? Picture it. Focus on the overall cost of borrowing, or the upfront cost, something like that. And so, by asking questions, it's so important for you to ask, you have to ask questions to understand what they want. So I made an assumption prior to speaking with this guy that he was going to be a little bit rate sensitive, but also want to find out how long you're going to be in the house, because the buy down for 2.7 might not be worth it. So we just have to be trained to not immediately think that everybody's so sensitive on rate and fees, but what's more important to them, and and then feeding into that.
So guys, he's showing options, and from lowest rate with highest cost to lowest cost, highest rate. He's framing that to the client around the lowest rate with the wrong strategy can cost you more money. And you can even go as far as to say, could cost you tens of thousands of dollars over the life of lending. And then, so he's showing the options, and then he's scrolling down. He's giving the transparency, if you could scroll, so we can see monthly graphically, over transparency over 60 months, transparency over 15 years. So now, again, that's different than the other loan officer. And then he goes back to the top. And now if we want to get into the details of the transaction, you clicks on more information. Want to remind you guys, like it sounds like earlier, you're sending the client the link. So as you're kind of giving them a tour of their total cost analysis, their screen's moving and they're like, whoa, that was cool.
Right.
What do you usually
get
on here?
So here I'll just focus on, principal and interest. And again, keep in mind, I do work with a lot of first-time home buyers. So even just explaining what principal and interest actually means, and then of course, property taxes and kind of how I estimate those, and hazard insurance. And that's a great segue for me to mention comma. Okay. So it's like, I can't even tell you again, how easy it is. It's because you're already going over it. And if you're not, then there's a simple way to implement it or integrate it into your system. And then we just kind of break down the total monthly payment, and that's how we're coming up with that.
Stop right there. I want to get your script. So you're going through the TCA, you get to hazard insurance. Give me would you like me to refer you to my insurance agent? Give me the script that you say right there.
Sure. So at this time, what I'll say is, when the right time comes, when you go under contract, would you like me to help you secure an insurance quote for your new home? And the answer is almost always yes. And it's so simple. That's it. Like, it's not, there's no, it's so simple that I can't even like fathom the why wouldn't you, but more like why shouldn't you type of thing. It's just, everybody wants part of that. They want the process streamlined. And by you being able to streamline the process and keep that referral in-house and control it and just help them, it's one less thing that they have to make a phone call about or have in the back of their mind. We're just going to take care of it for them, the complete process, you know? So it's as simple as that.
So Dominic, I just had an idea. When we do this you're going to be doing a presentation for the Modern Mortgage Summit. I'm going to want you to, hey, in Oklahoma City, I'm a modern mortgage advisor. This is how I define being a modern mortgage advisor. This is my tech stack. And then I literally want you to, maybe HomeBot and mortgage coach. And I really think this is sweet, where this is the first time I've heard it, where you're going from a TCA conversation. And I like, options, purchase, transparency, big picture over time, then loan details, then insurance referral. Guys, what you just saw is the move in the process of a modern mortgage professional. One, giving a really solid high trust conversation that I can tell right now has a very high conversion rate. I can tell right now has a very low pricing exception rate. I'll bet you give less price exceptions than a lot of your peers. And then he's also launching that into, hey, let me give a referral to my insurance agency, which is another source of income, which, by the way, also creates that client more sticky and retained to you. So go ahead and stop sharing your screen, brother. We got 3 minutes left. I'm going to ask one question, try to keep it under a minute. And then I'm going to let Todd ask the last question and wrap this up. But if there's a new loan officer that's in their first year in this business right now, give them a minute of wisdom and advice like you wish you would have known your first 6 months in the business.
Okay, so for me, the biggest thing was getting around the right people, getting into the right company, and then ultimately getting around the right programs and software that help you build your business. So the one thing that I will say is your first year is probably going to suck. Your second year is going to be a little bit better, and your third year is where you'll start to profit. So there's going to be a little bit of suck that you have to embrace. So just know that going into it. But also, get in tune with Mortgage Coach, get in tune with how to present these options, because you're immediately going to stand out amongst the rest. Start learning how to process. High Trust Sales Academy, you need to go. Sales Mastery, you need to go. And again, I don't have any affiliation there. It's just, you just need to do it. That's what the biggest thing that helped drive the needle in my business was the combination of, the leadership I was under, the content that I got from High Trust Sales, and then of course, all of the other tech that I was able to include later on.
So guys, you just heard it. What a great piece of advice. I do want to remind anyone watching this, there is a new loan officer playbook in the Mortgage Coach community, new loan officer playbook. I'll put a link down below here, and it just walks you through what do you do in your first 100 days. I've got some very specific videos in here that will help you get up to speed. I've got some resources down below. So go through the resources, check it out. Todd, why don't you go ahead and close it out, and any, final thoughts you have? You're on mute, Todd.
Man, rookie move. I was responding to people in the text. So I actually am really proud because I realized I have Dominic's real cell phone number, but I'm not giving it to any of you. But I was just saying, what a great example, right? I mean, congrats to you for building such a great business. I appreciate you taking the time to share with our community. And again, I just always like to highlight it at the end for the rest of you, right? What's your action plan, right? Go listen to it again, right? There's lots of nuggets, whether it's upgrading your game and using a text from your CRM, whether it's figuring out how to lose your cell phone so that you actually can leave it behind and check out and be totally unplugged, whether it's being disciplined in your morning, right? Waking up, doing a devotional, maybe check an email before you go into work, but when you get into work, then being able to focus from 9 to 11 on your most important prospect and get that done, and not having those appointments until afternoon, so that you can be sure that every day you've won by noon and created your accomplished your most important tasks. And lastly, he said, hey, if you're brand new in the business, and I think this applies to those of you who have been in the business for a long time. If the last 3 years has sucked for you, it's okay. It's going to get better. Figure out what technology that you can upgrade to, figure out who you can get yourself around, right? This community is all about you guys. And as always, grateful for the opportunity to hang out with you, Dave. Thanks, Dominic, for all your time. Look forward to seeing you guys on Friday for our interview with great coach, Greg Carville. And then, of course, we also have our mastermind today at 11 o'clock, led by Jeremy Forcier for the TCA Day Challenge. Anything I forgot, Dave?
No, just remember, guys, participate, show up. We create this content to help you become more successful. So whether you're first year in the business, or you're trying to go from 60 loans a year to 100, or you're trying to go from 100 to 200, 200 to 300, we've got top producers at every step of the process, including the #1 loan officer in America, Shant Benoshian. So consume at least one Mortgage Coach video every week. And if you're new, you might want to do more than that. Dominic, dude, you killed it. I can't wait to see what you do for your Modern Mortgage Summit presentation. Pressure's on. How are you going to create some micro
no pressure
that is worthy of that stage? But I know you're going to do it, bro.
Got it. Looking forward to it, man. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it.
Appreciate you, brother.
All right.
Take care.
Have fun, everyone.
Bye-bye.